Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Leadership in Politics with Dr. Abraham. With me today is an exceptional thought leader and the talented Mr. Eddie Turner. Welcome to the show.
Dr. Abraham, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here with you. I've been following your show and seeing the great work you're doing, and you've had some of my favorite people on, so I'm excited to be able to join you.
It's an honor to have you, Eddie. As you know, I'm a big fan of the work you do yourself, and I'm appreciative of the time you're giving the show. The conversation I'm going to have with you today is heart to heart. From heart to heart. We never planned anything. Well, we never do plan in the show anyway. We just go heart to heart. But with you, I just want to have a conversation. It's what's happening with you. You have been given, most of us and all of us, your time. We've been in the receiving end and you've been the giver. So this show is, in a way, a contribution to your achievements, contribution to what you have done from the time we saw you initially on CNN and that famous interview, which without...
CNN, oh, you're going to go back on me, huh? That's a long time ago.
I want to go back with you from where we met you first and you shine. You were the shining star then, and you're the shining star now. What are you up to? What are you up to? Tell me what's happening with you. Well, first, if I may tell you, congratulations on the sponsorship on your show.
Thank you. So I'm very fortunate to have some incredible people that sponsor the show. My friends over at Grand Heron International, the C-Suite Network, C-Suite Radio, tons of folks that really help me do what I do and reach audiences like what you're doing. And so the name of the game is just staying busy. You know, right now, down here in Houston, we are fortunate that we dodged a bullet there with Hurricane Lauren coming through, and you had Marco. So our thoughts and prayers are with those folks who are suffering from that through the night and into early today. But staying busy, when we're not dodging hurricanes, we're all still fighting the fallout of COVID.
Been busy is fine, and we've been following you and celebrating those moments with you. But there comes a time where you are by yourself and you say, what's next? How are you coping with it?
Right now, I feel like I'm on a treadmill. There's so much I'm doing, and there's so many incoming demands that I'm like, I can barely keep up.
But
so
Eddie,
when I have a quiet moment.
Yeah, but this didn't come from nowhere. I mean, you made yourself busy by choice or by default because you're talented and you were able to attract talented people. But didn't come from nowhere. You're at the peak of your success now, and you're soaring again and again, and we're proud of that. But you started really in a way like most of us. How you started? Take me back into memory lane. Tell me a little bit about how you were formed as an individual, and then we go further to your success. So people listening to the show today will benefit by following your footstep, because you're a role model to many, and so they can follow your footstep to succeed. You're giving them, you're like being a mentor now and sharing your story. So take me, if you can, whatever you're comfortable with, where you started. We can also talk about CNN. It was a good interview, and it was a good. What were you preparing for? 30 seconds of?
Yeah. So, man,
how did that come up? How did that come up?
Like 10 or 12 years ago, I think, at this point now. For CNN, they were running these promotions of people who had been displaced. And so I'd been displaced from my job, and I'd never had that happen in my career. I always went from one job to another. But I had this period where I was not able to find work. And so they had this opportunity for you to do tell your story online and kind of do a 30-second pitch. And I think I responded to the email, whatever the mechanism was. And I got a call one day from the producers, and that was quite a surprise. And they said, can you be down at the studio tomorrow morning at 9:00? I'll go to the studio, and it certainly doesn't look anything like it does when you see the episode. It literally is, you're basically in a closet and you can't see anything. It's all wires, and it's like a black box almost. I wasn't until after I watched it later that I realized, oh, it looked really nice behind me. I just answered the questions on the interview, and I didn't have a script or anything I was thinking about. You know, I just really answered it the way that Kira Phillips, I believe was her name. The way Kira asked me the questions, I answered them. And I did not even realize that there was a challenge with the other gentleman who followed me.
Yeah,
you know, I heard a delay. I had a ear. Yeah. So we didn't have a monitor we were watching. I heard a delay in my ear, but I didn't understand until I watched it, and my heart fell for the poor guy. So, but yeah, just was out there using media to try to get the word out that I am available for work. And
So
it was an opportunity to speak to the entire nation. And you don't get opportunities like that very often.
were you on
That
CNN
was
again?
it. That was it. It
Okay.
was a 5-minute clip. And so that clip
And you didn't go on CNN after
has been
this?
seen over about 500,000 times.
You went on CNN after that.
No, that was a
Okay.
live episode.
This is a message to CNN. I'm calling you from here. I have with me the talented Mr. Eddie Turner. And as you know, I'm a talent agent. You probably don't know that.
I don't know that.
I am a SAG after talent agent, and I'm talking to CNN. I have with me the talented Eddie Turner. You should have a show for himself or have him on. This is really as professional commendation as I can. Eddie, thank you for everything you've done. So from that time, what was that your shining moment or the starting point of your professional career that you moved on from that point? Was that like the break you needed?
I didn't look at it like that. That was actually a low point for me.
No, but you shined. I mean, without taking away from the other gentlemen, this is not a competition we're talking about. We're talking about specific time that you shined without any preparation. And then you were on time because you were having an elevator pitch and you pitched it on time where you had even 30 seconds. But it was on time. It was up to the point, whatever you needed to talk. With all due respect to whomever was with you, the other guests. We're not talking about this issue. We're talking about your achievement, that's a specific moment in that specific time. Because now you're the teacher. Now you teach these things. So
no, that's a good point. I forgot about that. Yeah. So there was a timer. And again, that's something that only later when I watched the episode that I realized it was a countdown. So I didn't see that timer. When I just said what I said off the top of my head, I didn't see that countdown and realize that literally when I stopped, I hit it dead on the head. I didn't know that. And so that was just, from the time I was young, I've been speaking public speaking, wasn't professional speaking because I wasn't paid, but I've been doing public speaking since I was 12, 13 years old. So there's just some things that kind of came natural for me. And I was very, very fortunate with that. And on that day, all that training it crystallized at the right moment. Subsequent to that, I have done more professional speaking and become a professional speaker. Obviously, yes. I've become a certified speaking professional, one of less than 17 speakers in the world who are professional speakers have that credential. Also, I later learned at one of these professional speaking conferences, I had a gentleman run up to me. He says, "Eddie Turner, I know you." Turns out this is a professor who had been using that clip in his speaking class. He teaches communications.
The CNN clip?
The CNN clip for all of his students and teaching them how to speak, do improvisational speaking and extemporaneous speaking, rather, I should say. And so that just blew me away. I had no idea he was doing that. And he invited me to his class. Back in those days, we could travel and go to classes, right? Yes. I went and spoke to his classes in person. And
nice.
That was an amazing feeling. So yeah, that video has had life, but nobody's asked me about that. It's been probably 4 or 5 years since anybody's asked me about that thing.
No, it's a good clip. It's a clip that you should be proud of. And it's on CNN, for heaven's sake.
They were good to me, and I'm a tremendous fan.
So with your permission, Eddie, I'm going to show the clip and then we talk about it.
Yeah, because I haven't seen it in a long time. So yeah.
We've got job seekers, IT, healthcare, finance experts. Their 30-second pitch straight ahead. Time now for the 30-second pitch. Every week, we try to get you a job. Guys, thanks so much. Eddie, let's start with you. Tell me what the heck happened. Did you see it coming?
Oh, no, I didn't. But in December 2007, I was working as a senior help desk analyst for General Electric right here in Chicago.
And so were you prepared at all financially? Did you feel the effects immediately?
No, I was prepared. I've tried to follow good fiscal discipline and follow the rule of having 6 months salary, 8 months salary put away, but didn't think that the vicissitudes of the economy would last this long.
All right, guys, let's get right to it then. Eddie Turner, let's start with you. Look straight into that camera. You got 30 seconds. Give us your pitch.
Well, I am extremely passionate about technology and learning. And I am very interested in using my years of experience in technology support and teaching, combined with my Northwestern education, to help manage an organization's technology project team, or an organization that has a learning and talent development department. I'd love to help them power up their employee engagement through the use of technologies such as social media and the Apple iPhone.
Look at that, right on the money, and you're very good with
So
time.
here you
All
go,
right.
Eddie. So what do you think? This is amazing, isn't it?
It is. Brings back some really good memories. Even though it was a bad time, it was a good thing that came out of that crisis. And I think the same is true today. Even though this is a crisis for many of us, I have to say, for me, 2020 has actually turned out to be a blessing in so many ways. And in all crises, one of the things we talk about as leaders and as coaches, there is opportunity. And so we must remain optimistic and we must remain resilient so that we can respond appropriately and not have our energy so sapped by being exasperated by what we're going through. Because it is tough. It's physically and mentally tough. But if we can keep our mental disposition strong, we can survive and hopefully thrive even during something as critical as what we all are going through right now.
I know you're doing it now, but what's your advice to elevate the suffering of people that are not as fortunate, regardless of race, color, religion, faith, whatever it is? We're just people helping people. And you are in a position, in addition to the platform you have, but you're in a position to actually influence. You're an influencer in your own way, in your own circle. What do you say to others to help? How can they do it?
When you think about helping people, there's several ways to help people. Sometimes it's just by showing up. Sometimes it's by being there.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the ways that we've been able to help people throughout these times is forming mastermind groups, forming other, and by mastermind groups, for those who may not have heard that phrase, we're talking about a group of 5 thought leaders or 5 people that do something similar to what you do. And you all meet at regular intervals, be that once a week, once a month, and you're exchanging the ideas. And in those groups and that intimacy that happens, you start to be vulnerable with each other and say, hey, listen, this is what's happening for me. What's happening for you? We may not tell that to the rest of the world, but we're going to tell that and be vulnerable and share with each other and lift each other up. Yes. So mastermind groups, I'm one of Marshall Goldsmith's 100 coaches, and I cannot say enough for what Marshall Goldsmith has done for me and the rest of that MG 100 family.
Salute to him from here. Yes.
Yes. He started having daily calls with us, and those daily calls were like taking vitamins every morning. I mean, a true shot in the arm.
Hold on. When did he start doing that? I never heard that before. That's a good one. So he started calling everyone on the team.
No. He held daily calls. Okay. So he set up a conference, a video call that we all dialed into. And that started right when COVID broke out. And we did that every day. That's wonderful. It's reduced now, but initially that was how I got through. And that's how the rest of the MG 100 coaching family got through. And we supported each other, of course, Marshall at the lead, but sharing facts, sharing stats, sharing strategies. And, so some days it was all about how do you do this in your business? What's the latest facts in medical? So we had doctors and epidemiologists. We had actual coaches who do both of those things.
They do that professional
telling us. Mm-hmm. And so I always felt like, wow, I'm like 2 or 3 days ahead of whatever's being published because of those thought leaders. I mean, those folks are some of the most published people in the world. Mm-hmm. And it really showed during that time. So that was, for me, that was something powerful, just the association. So I would tell people, if it's not a mastermind group, is there another group that you can become a part of? Is there an association? Be it ATD, ICF, some of the coaching groups or talent development. What group of people, what nucleus can you get with that helps pull you together? Mm-hmm. Places like the Institute of Coaching, they started holding weekly calls, and think tanks. The National Speakers Association, I'm also a part of. They started doing things like that. And then, so that's one way of supporting people intellectually and emotionally. And once we fill ourselves intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually, by the way, I won't neglect that. So whatever our synagogue, our church, or our temple, whatever it may be that we need to get strength from. And once we fill those things, now our bucket's full, we can then pour out and help others. So now we are in a position to give away because we have something within ourselves.
You are ready to do it.
You're ready.
Yeah, so I like it.
Sometimes it's volunteering at the food bank. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, in my case, I gave away a lot of coaching. I supported first responders. Mm-hmm. I did a lot of pro bono coaching. And that was my way of supporting those who needed a place to go, needed a haven to kind of then recharge and be ready to go back and be a first line responder.
And probably they paid it forward by doing the same thing in their own environments.
In many ways, they paid it forward by saving a life.
Saving life.
Right.
Yeah.
Being able to go back and refocus.
Refocus, re-energize again.
Refresh, recharge, energized. And for me, that's all the payment I need, to know that this person got what they needed and now they're ready to go back into the operating room or go back. I even dealt with some police officers, be able to go back to that, to the line of fire. So giving in that way, the food bank, supporting those things that were the initiatives at places like that is another way that we help others. So it is about trying to do the best we can for our fellow humans, our fellow humanity, giving of ourselves emotionally, physically, and then where we can financially, is one of the things I think that is the human thing to do. And just a part of, I think, the global contract that we have as coaches to always do good and put good out there into the world.
Yeah, we really have to be good to each other, regardless of the bad leadership we're having. Regardless of country, there's bad leadership everywhere. So thought leaders like you and the people you represent within the environment you're in, whether at Speakers Association or at the Federation, it's people like you, Eddie, that will make the difference and will take the word out there so people can follow through. What's your message to millennials? What do you tell them to message to specifically to millennials to do?
I don't know that I've ever come up with a message specifically to millennials. I think my message to everyone, millennials or whatever age we find ourselves in, is to keep leading. That's a phrase that I'm very passionate about. That's the name of my show, obviously, as well. I believe that leadership is continual. It's action. And it's not something we have to wait to do. It's not something that you have to wait to your certain age or you have a certain title. Like right now, you and I are talking on the heels of a historic moment in our country. We had another police officer shooting yesterday. Oh, not yesterday, but a couple of days ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yesterday, all these young people, the millennials, the professional athletes, they said, you know what, we're not playing tonight. That's never happened before. We've seen the Muhammad Ali's, or we've seen the Olympic athletes raise the black fists.
They were individuals.
Right?
Yes.
We've seen individual protests. Even Colin Kaepernick paid a big price, right? But we've never seen a whole team. And then it went from one team to being all of the NBA, to the WNBA, and then Major League Baseball. All the sports across the country,
even the broadcaster,
support our fellow players. Yes, even the broadcasters.
And regardless of their race, now you see white more than you see black, and it's the country itself suffering. Tell me about Keep Leading. So what's going on with that amazing show you have?
Keep Leading podcast is downloaded in 80 countries around the globe. And I say almost everywhere because I sometimes find a new place that I didn't know existed. It's available almost everywhere people get podcasts. So it's all about leadership development and leadership insights. And so my goal has been to pursue people that I feel have a unique spin on leadership or a lane that they're playing in. And I've covered so many. I've just released, tomorrow we'll release episodes 79 and 80. So 80 different people, 80 different guests.
80 different thought leaders, different fields, different ideas, different insights.
Oh yeah. Different countries.
Yes. So you're like my show. It's international because you have people from Moscow, from India, from everywhere.
Yes. And that's what I wanted. I truly want to think, I don't think you can be a leader and be localized. I mean, I shouldn't say be a leader. I think that to be a 21st century leader who's going to be effective, you must have a global mindset. And so to that end, I've had my guests to be people who represent the globe. And also I have a listenership around the globe. So I want to make sure that they're hearing people that represent the diverse viewpoint and the beauty of humanity. But also, I mean, we're interconnected. And if we didn't think we were interconnected, COVID has taught us that. We are an interconnected society. And so we must look at the opinions and the thoughts of people everywhere. And that's been my goal. And if I can play a small part in getting that message out to places near and far, that's what I've tried to do so that people can keep leading no matter where they are and from what position they may start.
You touched on something very impactful and important, which is connectivity with others. I'm going to give you a scenario. You are the president of the United States. Now, just you happen to be the president of the United States.
Oh, COVID, no, that's a heavy job.
And COVID hit us, and we are under your leadership. What would Eddie Turner do? With all seriousness, I mean, what would you do as a leader? Hopefully somebody will listen out there and do it.
The first thing I would do is I would go to my scientists. I would go to my MG100 family. I'd start there. Mm-hmm. And several of those folks would be in my cabinet and my advisors. And we would take the best in science and we would listen to what the scientists tell us. I'd actually sit on the sidelines and then point to those folks and listen to what they tell me, think about it, and make decisions based on that. And then I would mobilize a coalition, a global coalition. I think that we will want to have people in the main country where things broke out in China. We would want to have some folks there. I think we would want to have I don't want to say think tank, but literally we would be partnering with the best scientists, not just in the States, but across the globe. Okay. We would get with the World Health Organization. We would listen to what they're saying, and we get everybody talking, everybody marching in lockstep, because this is just not a local problem, as we're clearly seeing. It is a global problem, so it requires global thinking.
So instead of competitiveness, we will have collaboration, spirit of collaboration.
Absolutely.
With all of us.
Absolutely.
All of us. Good. I wish you the president, sir. Tell me more about the other associations you're very active with. So you are part of the Speakers Association?
I started off initially, I joined the Association for Talent Development. And that was my first association. And then from there, I decided I wanted to become a coach. So I joined the Coaching Association, the International Coaching Federation. Okay. The person who was training me to become a coach, this suggested you should join the Speaking Association. And I thought, I don't need to do that. And then I realized that was actually one of the best decisions I ever made, joining the National Speakers Association. I sit on the board for the International Institute for Facilitation. And I'm a part of a couple more. But essentially, what I've done is follow the advice I was given. When I didn't think I needed to belong to any association, I quote this gentleman in my book. He says, Rob Pennington, he says, young man, in my day, people didn't ask, should they join an association? You join the association that represents your profession. Doctors don't question if they should join the American Medical Association, AMA. Lawyers don't question should they join the Bar Association. So if you're going to be a professional speaker, you need to be a member of the National Speakers Association. And since I built my career on 3 areas, facilitation, speaking, and coaching, I've joined the associations that represent those 3 key skills that I've chosen to make my vocation.
This is a good strategy. And whoever is interested to follow this, actually, I would follow the same strategy. I'm also a member of some of these associations, but for everyone out there, that's a good strategy to follow because you need someone to represent you. You also need the insights available to you and all the guidance you may need.
Yes, they invest in a ton of research and they make it available to the members.
Yes.
In fact, the Association for Talent Development, I was just a contributor to the definitive book of knowledge that they just wrote, that the last time they did this, it carried the industry for 10 years. And so I was privileged to be one of the 60 subject matter experts who were consulted and contributed to that. And so people have access to this and who are members. Every year, the latest studies that have been produced so that we can be knowledgeable about our field and make decisions based on actual facts. And all of the associations do a really good job of making these things available to you as a member.
Tell me about your book. You have 101.
140 simple messages to guide emerging leaders. Yes, it was based on the restrictions of Twitter at the time. Now they're 280. And I had been a contributor to the Forbes Coaches Council for a year. And I learned the power of short messages. I responded to about 35 Q&As that got published. And I saw how many people read those around the globe, sometimes 70, 80,000 views. And I realized that, wow, you don't have to write a scholarly book to be impactful. And so my book is full of a bunch of quotes that I've heard through the years that helped me keep leading. And I felt that for emerging leaders in an organization, this could be a nice, quick 15-minute read that helps them keep leading.
Very good. Thank you so much for sharing that. Tell me a little bit about Eddie, the individual.
Eddie, the individual, is boring. Eddie is working too many hours to do anything fun. And that, I don't just say that. I mean, I'm in trouble with my wife all the time. So I've got to do a better job. I, as a coach, promote work-life balance, and I have zero balance. In the old days, I enjoyed riding my bike. I enjoyed running. I was a professional saxophone player for a number of years.
Nice.
And,
You should do that. You should put at least 30 seconds or so on your show, or even promotion. That's really something.
I never thought I'd stop playing. And, you know, I saw all my friends stop, and I said, you know, I'll never stop. What do you mean you don't play anymore? And now I'm just like them.
You should showcase. What does your wife do?
She is the person who brought back $1 billion that funded all of the Houston schools over the last 5 years. She's the Chief Government Relations Strategy Officer, and she was doing that for the city of Houston, for the Houston Independent School District, and now she runs her own business called Gavel Inn.
That's wonderful. See, behind every great man, there is a woman. I always know that. There is always a woman.
There's no question. I couldn't accomplish the things I've accomplished without having her in my life.
What's her name?
Ashley.
Ashley. Anything else you want to share or tell us?
No. I'm just so impressed with the work that you're doing and the voice and the beacon that you are in the world. And I'm privileged to be able to spend a few minutes with you today.
It's an honor to have you on. I'm always following you. I may be in the shadow, but I'm always following you and appreciating the excellent work you're doing. We're all in your corner. Continue being a giver. Continue being the star that you are.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Dr. Abraham.
Have a pleasant day.
You too.